Deadlifting is one of the most basic and beneficial lifts that you can have for developing muscular strength in your strength training program. It's especially good at targeting the posterior chain, which is incredibly important, especially if you're going to be in any sort of sport where you're going to have to be pushing with your legs. One of the really cool ways that you can start to train the deadlift is using accommodating resistance. You can use this accommodating distance to target different parts of your lift. So let's say that your lockout is kind of weak and you want it to be really heavy at lockout so that you can train that high intensity at lockout. Now, training banded deadlifts is something that can be as simple as standing on top of bands, or there's other companies that have made banded deadlift platforms. You see them, they usually have like the little hooks on the floor, and there's one person that's out there who has successfully made a really solid piece of kit that is just for banded deadlifts, and that is Mike Bartos over at Mike Bartos Power Center. And today I'm going to be telling you guys about my modular PR platform. My name's Curtis and welcome to my garage gym. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you for coming here. And if you've been here before, I appreciate you tuning in for this review. Just a couple quick things. Please consider subscribing and turning on that bell for notification. It helps feed the YouTube algorithm, which helps my channel. Additionally, if you're shopping for equipment, please use affiliate links that may be down in the description box below. Today, I'm going to be covering the Mike Bartos Power Center Modular PR Platform. I'm going to go over the design, the quality of construction. I'm going to give you guys some of my training notes. We're going to talk about cost. We're going to talk about value. And I'm going to give you my final opinions on whether I think it's a valuable piece for your garage gym. Just as a quick note, there are timestamps on the bar that's right below the window here. So if you want to skip ahead and get to a certain part of the video, feel free, they are labeled. So this is it. This is the modular PR platform. It is one of 5 different variations of the PR platform that are offered on the Mike Bartos Power Center website. Again, link down below. Now, all 5 of these platforms, they do a similar task. They're different shapes and different sizes for different reasons. I got the modular PR platform because I think it's the most versatile of all of them. However, they all do the same thing, and that task that they do super well is they allow you to do banded deadlift work with high levels of adjustability. So the platform that I'm showing you guys right here is the modular version. It measures 51 inches from the outside to the outside and 24 inches from the outside of the back here to the outside of the front here. Please keep in mind that there's about an additional 1.5 inches to accommodate for this front hook for hooking a band onto the front of the platform. As a note, you don't actually need to use the uprights with this if you just wanted to break it out and do some banded work. It does have these welded on hooks that are welded into the platform, so if you wanted to pull it out or bring it somewhere and not have to bring the rest of the uprights, it is still functional as a standalone unit. If you do choose to use everything, and it comes with everything, there are 4 of these corner pieces that are 24 3/4 inches tall from the floor to the top of the post. There are 2 pin and pipe style. They look like safeties, but really what they're for is for adjusting a height of a pull. Additionally, they can be used for any sort of isometric contraction work you want to pull against an unmovable object. You also get this 3x3 Russian bar that bolts into the platform itself, and I will go over the Russian bar usage a little bit later in the video. All right, so in my opinion, the modular is probably the best one of all of them. It offers the most amount of versatility, and it all starts with how much area is actually located inside the platform. Now, with it being 51 inches long and 24 inches wide and 2-inch tubing, that leaves us with a 47-inch inside to inside. So for most sumo stance, that's actually going to work out pretty well. And it also offers 20 inches of inside space, which is more than enough for pretty much anybody's big old clobber feet. I have a size 12, and I can easily fit in more than a fist on the front and back of my foot. With the modular platform and with the normal PR platform, you're gonna get these pin and pipe safeties. These pin and pipe safeties are for adjusting your height of pull, and they're adjustable with a bottom height of 12 inches, then 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, and 24 inches. Additionally, you can just completely remove them. I added some safety pins on the back here just to hold them in. But if you remove the pin and pipe system, what you end up with is the ability to just load the plates onto the floor as you normally would for a traditional deadlift. And with the Russian bar, to remove it from the system is as simple as twisting off these nuts And then the bar actually supports itself inside the holes, but you just pull it off. Now today, I'm gonna be doing some reverse banded work. So I don't need my spotters and I don't need my Russian bar at this point, but I will be doing some box deadlifts later, and I will be busting this back out. Now today I am deadlifting using the Cerberus power bar, which I reviewed, and you can watch the video up here. But one of the things that I noticed about certain barbells, although they do fit on the outside of the platform, some of them, like the Cerberus bar, are just so perfect that what I like to do is I like to put a set of collars on the inside of all the plates, just to get the weights out a little bit. That way, if I come down a little bit imperfect, what I don't end up happening is clipping the side of this frame. And it's not really a safety concern, I don't think, as much as it's just me getting bothered by hitting the frame. But by putting these collars on, it just kicks it out about another 1.5 inches, and it just makes the lift a little bit easier to do. So what I actually have next today is Russian box deadlifts. This is a variation of the deadlift made popular by Mikhail Koklayev. I will link the Chad Wesley Smith video down below from Juggernaut Training, where he goes over how to do it. But basically what it does is it adds this bar to the PR platform. And in return, what you do is you keep your calves pressed up against the bar. While you're doing the lift, it prevents your knees from traveling forward and increases the amount of hamstring recruitment that you can get. Additionally, if you wanted to use it as a sissy squat bar, it actually works pretty well. So that's another perk of this. If you didn't have this and you wanted to do Russian box deadlifts, one of the issues with it is that you have to have the box secured, either with dumbbells, weights, or backed up against something like your power rack. All right, so next up for me today is shrugs. And I could just do these off the floor, but for the sake of demonstrating how you can pull it off of a elevated platform, I figured, why not? Not only does it allow you to do rack pulls, but you could theoretically do any number of movements. One of the favorite ones that I've seen, I actually posted to Instagram. And what I did is I put bands around just these uprights and then around the bar. And all that I did was stand in the middle of the platform, and I just pulled the bands into my shin. And what this does is it builds a cue for deadlifting, where you pull the bar into your body to get it over the midfoot, but it does it in a way that you're able to add resistance and add strength over time. Some other things I really like about this is because it breaks down, it stores in a really small space. I actually break mine completely down and I put everything inside, including my dead wedge, and I just slide it underneath my storage unit from Surplus Strength, ARC Series storage unit, review coming soon. And what I love about it is that it fits in a 4-inch tall space. So it fits underneath the storage unit just fine, it's out of the way. Another really cool thing is that if you are into isometric holds or partner training, you can get what's called a contrast platform, and you can get it built right in, and it's a really cool unit. If you don't get it built in when you first buy the unit, you can also get the bolt-on contrast platform, which I do plan on getting for this. I just need to make some friends first. Now, where the PR platform differentiates itself from other banded deadlift platforms is mainly in the variety of setup options. Additionally, it's a lot smaller and it doesn't take up as much space, and it offers just a little bit more versatility, in my opinion, than traditional banded deadlift platforms do. One really big version of this is actually in Brian Shaw's gym, and I'm pretty sure they don't make it anymore, and I'm pretty sure it was sold on Elite FTS, but I'll post a photo of it, and it's basically just this, but absolutely huge. So what they've done is they've taken that giant banded deadlift apparatus, and Mike Bartos has shrunk it down into the footprint that this one sits in, which is really nice for most gyms. And like I mentioned earlier, you get a lot more height options as far as bands go because you have these small hooks here on the bottom. Additionally, you have 4 that are on the uprights, giving you 5 total different heights of bands. You also get one out front. So if you want to cue that lats back cue during a deadlift, you can put a band right there, put it around your bar, and it can continue to train that cue. Another advantage of this one is it actually doesn't need to be bolted down because you are the force that's actually keeping it in place while you lift. You plus the bar push down against the bands. Therefore, it doesn't need to be bolted down. So if you're someone that likes to rearrange your gym a lot, this could be an amazing option for you. Another reason that I like this a little bit more than I like, let's say, deadlifting inside of a power rack is that although most power racks do allow you to deadlift inside of them, and you can use the band pegs that come with most power racks as a band peg for doing deadlifts, you have to come down pretty perfectly, and most power racks have a really nice paint finish on them, and you don't really want to mess that up. What's nice about this is it's purpose-built for deadlifting, and honestly, if you do hit it, which I have hit it a couple times, it chips off a little bit of paint, but I would rather this get a little bit chipped up than my really nice Arc Series rack. So now that I've kind of described everything that you can do with this, I want to tell you about the construction quality. And let me tell you right off the bat, Mike Bartos has always been one of my favorite fabricators as far as strength equipment goes. He always pays very close attention to detail, and everything's made right here in Youngstown, Ohio. So if you're close to Youngstown, you can always drive over and pick up your units. What I like about when Bartos manufactures things is that there's very deliberate thought that is put into everything that's on his equipment. For instance, the welded on bolts for the Russian box bar. That is really nice when you're trying to assemble this all by yourself and it just slides right in. You don't have to worry about a nut and a bolt, you just have to worry about a nut. Additionally, there's a lot of thought that's put into things like these band pegs. So first off, everything on this is actually really straight. And when you consider that all of these individual pegs have to be welded on, that's a pretty remarkable feat. In my opinion, that's a pretty remarkable feat for a handmade item to be made that well. Everything lines up well, everything's well thought out. There's these flanges that are put on the end of all the band pegs, which helps retain the bands on the pegs. Additionally, they're put on the bottom here. This one's kept open, and that's on purpose because you don't want one to trip on it or catch your foot on it. All the welds are super clean. They're very well done. He's always done an amazing job on his welds, pays really close attention to detail, and he definitely cares about the fact that his name is on the product that's in your gym. Another thing I like about it with the modular is that the modular and the PR, which is the full size, are designed so that sumo deadlifters, God bless their hearts, can actually deadlift inside of this. Again, there is a slight limitation. So if you're a sumo deadlifter and you're thinking about getting one of these, if your toes touch the weights, when you sumo deadlift, you're not going to be able to get quite that wide. However, you will be able to get about 47 inches from toe to toe when you're using this platform. So mine is finished all in this flat black finish, which is nice. It's a very durable finish. It's just a very stock finish, and it's what I wanted, or at least what I thought I wanted at the time. Now, in hindsight, I wish I would have gotten red uprights, and one of the really cool things about when you buy one of these is that customizing the colors doesn't necessarily change the cost of the item. If you choose from the drop-down menu on the website which colors that you want, the price actually remains the same. Now, if you want a custom RAL code, you can email Mike Bartos and he can get with you on figuring out how much that would cost you, but it is something that you can do. Now, I've been using this in my training for the past couple months, and I've become very, very fond of this PR platform. There are two specific downsides, though, that I do want to cover. One of them is it's a little bit awkward. Now, for me, I store mine underneath my storage unit, and getting it in and out from underneath there can be a little bit awkward at times. However, it's just one of those things that I deal with because I don't have the space in the gym. Now, I have text messaged Mike about this, and we've talked about what it would take to add maybe some wheels into one of the sides. And what it basically came down to is that to add a set of wheels would either affect functionality or affect price. And we'll get to price later, but it is a little bit of a high price point. One additional thing that I'm not very fond of is that a full-size deadlift jack actually doesn't fit in here, and as a result of that, I finally found a use that I don't mind for my dead wedge. So my dead wedge basically just stays inside of the PR platform for safe storage, and I use it when I'm swapping my weights out. Now, some of you hardcore lifters out there will roll your eyes at me and tell me that I can use change plates, and I will say, Okay. One additional note on the deadlift jack is that even the new Clevabuilt, the Pro, the double-sided one, is actually too wide to fit inside of the PR platform, so even that won't fit. Outside of those two things though, I really don't have that much in the way of critiques. I'm a very big fan, and I'm a very big fan for a lot of reasons. One of those is that I'm currently using JuggernautAI, and I've actually found that it's very easy to incorporate things like box squats, things like banded deadlifts, reverse banded deadlifts into my JuggernautAI routine. So let's say that you wanted to do Russian box deadlifts. A very easy way to do that would be to substitute one of your hamstring dominant exercises by just hitting the swap button, going to the menu, looking up Russian box deadlift. I think it's just box deadlift in the JuggernautAI program, and swapping it into your training. Additionally, reverse banded is already in there. Now, what I do if I want to do banded deadlifts is there's a comp deadlift and then there's a conventional deadlift. Is I just use my conventional deadlift as my banded deadlift because the menu option actually does have an option for adding band tension. Additionally, the setup is very simple, but you pull it out, the four corners go in, there's a bolt per corner, you just throw the bolt in, nut it together. You don't even have to tool tight the nut and bolt, or at least I haven't been doing that. Now, if it falls apart on you, that's on you, that's not on me, use a wrench. But I've never had a problem just taking all the nuts to tool tight, and the PR platform has worked perfectly well for me. Additionally, adding bands is very simple, and because you have so many levels, as long as you're taking notes while you train, it's very easy to keep track of where your bands are, what bands you've used, and progressing those bands is as simple as seeing what you did last time and either making it more difficult or easier the next time. Now on the bands, you can use a full-size band, and I do have a whole bunch of full-size bands, but if you are going to buy this, I would recommend that you make a small investment into some shorty bands. Now Elite FTS has probably been the best source that I've found, especially when they're running their sale. Additionally, I'm pretty sure Mike Bartos is coming out with bands in 2022. He did make a post the other day that had some bands with his brand name on them, so I'm very excited to see that and check the availability on that when you make your purchase. When you're adjusting your band tension, a very easy way to do that is by using a hanging scale. The way that I use the hanging scale is either by pulling to the height. If I'm looking for band tension, is I will just pull up on one side to the height that I'm actually deadlifting with, and it gives me a readout of how much weight I'm lifting. If I'm trying to figure out how much assistance I have, what I do is I figure out how much higher my band is than my depth of pull, and I pull to that height, and I take that number because theoretically the amount of tension up is similar to the amount of tension down. So today, for instance, I was getting 35 pounds of band tension combined between each side of effort, of assistance. I will link this down in the description below. It's off of Amazon, and it is relatively inexpensive and very useful in the gym. One of the last things I wanted to cover today is the price tag. Now, this is probably my biggest unfortunate aspect of the PR platform, is that this modular PR platform is $880, and then you have to pay for freight shipping on top of that. If you want to save a little bit of money, you can get a traditional PR platform, which is basically the exact same thing, except for the uprights are welded onto it, and you can save yourself about $43. However, it is my opinion that if you're going to spend $843, you may as well just spend $880 and get the ability to break this thing down and maybe even fit it in your car if you are that motivated to use this at a public gym. Now, I am saying that this is an expensive piece of kit. However, I'm not saying that it is an overpriced piece of kit. It's my opinion that based on steel prices, the cost of manufacturing, the cost of powder coating, everything that goes into this, $880 is actually a very fair price for this unit. However, with the price being $880, I believe that that is the biggest barrier that is keeping more garage gyms from actually having their own modular PR platform available to them. Also, if you wanted to save money and you pull conventional and maybe you don't want the addition of the box deadlift add-on, then you can look at some of the smaller PR units, and that might be a better option for you. Now, I do expect that we're going to start seeing a lot more of these in some maybe commercial training facilities. I think that we'll really start to see them at the collegiate and the professional sports level. I think a lot of those areas are really starting to get interested in this kind of training using these types of equipment. I also think that people like me that are very interested in coaching, this could be a very valuable tool to have in your arsenal of tools to train people, whether you're in a commercial facility or whether you're in a garage gym. My final opinions are mostly optimistic and very brief. If you want to enhance your deadlift training, this is a great way to do it. It does cost a lot of money, but what you pay up front, you definitely can reap the rewards later, and you have a very versatile piece of equipment that can enhance any deadlift training program. I love how the unit stores down into a small amount of space, gets tucked away out of the way when I'm not using it, and when I bring it out, it brings a ton of versatility into my training space, and for me, that is the biggest pro that this thing has. But tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you think that $880 is worth it? Please let me know. Let's have a conversation. Plus, if you comment down below, it helps out the algorithm, which helps me push more content out to you guys. But that's been it for this video. I appreciate each and every single one of you that watch. And remember that when it comes to your garage gym training and your garage gym, you should always keep it better, awesome, and of course, badass. I'll see you guys next time.